Does anybody else just fucking stick their camera on top of the tripod, like just fucking loosely and shit, because you're fucking too lazy to put the little attachment in the bottom? You probably want a new video, don't you? That's probably why you're here. You're probably like, oh shit, he's got a new video. Let's just click on it and see, you know? But I don't know if I want to give it to you. But I know I could. Oh yeah, I could give it to you. I could give it to you real good. Right in the right spot. Okay, this is getting really fucking... Anyways, here we are. New video. And, what's that? What? No! No, don't put... Stop! Ah! My uncle's house was my favorite place when I was a kid. I was close with my cousins, twin boys, only a year younger than me. I spent the night with them every weekend that my mom would allow me, and for weeks at a time during the summer. There were horses, orange groves, and even a lake at the place. There were acres and acres to roam, and Uncle Sean let us have the run of the place. Well, at least during the day. At night, he liked to keep us closer. The woods around the property were plenty large enough to accommodate wildlife. It was not uncommon to hear coyotes yipping in the wee hours of the morning. There was a fire pit situated in the thinly wooded rear of the sprawling backyard. You could see the long back porch of the house from there. It was lit with strings of yellow lights at night. There was a floodlight too. Uncle Sean had rigged it up himself. It lit the trampoline and the rope swing situated in the long stretch of lawn that had oaks between the fire pit and the porch. During the mild winters, he built fires for us there, and often the neighbor, Mr. Alberton, would bring his wife and son. We roasted marshmallows while the grown-ups sipped coffee and chatted. At some point, one of the kids, usually me, the oldest, would ask if we could go jump on the trampoline. Yep, Uncle Sean would say, almost invariably. Turn the light on so I can keep an eye on you, and don't go past the second row of orange trees. Yes, sir, the four of us would shout in unison before scampering off. On one such night, when I was about 11 years old, I found out why Uncle Sean always insisted we not go past the second row of orange trees. The four of us quickly had our fill of the trampoline. The three younger kids were playing a loud game of tag in the first couple rows of the orange grove, while I swung in wide circles on the rope swing. The floodlight combined with the full moon lit the trees just enough so I could see the three shadows flitting around in the spaces between them. "Joey," the twins shouted in unison, "come play with us." I hopped off the swing and headed towards the trees. I knew Uncle Sean would call us back soon. He never let us play in the trees for very long. "Jeremy's it! Watch out!" one of the twins shrieked just as my sneakers hit the sugar sand. I heard the neighbor kid giggling just behind me and booked it in the opposite direction. "Hey!" Jeremy shouted. "No fair! You can't go that far!" I stopped and turned, realizing that I was just about 4 rows in. Jeremy had paused obediently in the second row of trees, vaguely silhouetted by the floodlight. I knew I had to go back, but I decided to run a couple of trees down before I crossed back over the boundary line, so Jeremy couldn't tag me. "Joey!" Jeremy shouted when I started running. I laughed. He actually sounded scared. I quickly rounded the trees and headed back towards the other kids, expecting to pop out on the second row just behind Jeremy. I didn't. I could see the glow from the floodlight. I could see the strings of lights on the porch flickering through the trees. I should have been completely out of the grove by now, but I wasn't. I could hear the other kids talking. "I don't know. He just ran off. He knows he's not supposed to go past the second row. Guys, I'm here, I shouted breathlessly. We should get Dad, one of the twins said, as if they couldn't hear me. Don't, I shouted. I'm coming. But I wasn't. I couldn't see the lights anymore, no matter which way I turned. It felt like swimming too far from shore in the ocean. All I could see was moonlit trees. No matter which way I turned, I was getting scared. I could still hear my cousins' voices. You get Dad, one said. No, you, replied the other. Mr. Sean, Jeremy shouted. I could hear their footfalls and fading voices as they ran towards the fire pit. We can't find Joey. I ran and ran, close to crying now. I called and called for Uncle Sean, but nobody came. No one called my name. No lights, no sound. I was out of breath and I stopped, leaning on my knees. That's when I saw him, standing about 20 feet in the same row of trees. Uncle Sean, I cried in relief as I ran towards him. Just as I was about to throw my arms around him, something stopped me and I backed away. There was something too still, too rigid about him. Something whispered in the back of my mind, that's not Uncle Sean. But it looked like him. Maybe he was just really angry for me disobeying and getting impossibly lost like an idiot. I'm sorry, I said. Can we go back now? He stood and stared. He opened his mouth really wide, like someone screaming in a dream. A shiny black beetle crawled out and fell from his chin. It writhed in the sand beneath his feet. Joey, he whispered, but not with his mouth. The words writhed in my brain like a beetle in the sand. Joey, come here. He reached one hand out awkwardly, as if it were hooked to an invisible pulley somewhere above. I took a step forward, mesmerized somehow, the way Kaa mesmerized Mowgli. Joey, no! Shouted Uncle Sean from somewhere behind me. The thing's face wavered for a moment at the gruff sound of his voice. For a moment, I saw something else. Then Uncle Sean, the real Uncle Sean, scooped me up in his arms. I was sobbing. He took only a few long strides and we were out of the trees. He put me down in the grass and grabbed my shoulders. Did you see it? He asked. I nodded vigorously. What did it look like? It looked like you, I gasped between sobs. Did it touch you? When you said my name, it didn't look like you anymore. I broke down in sobs again. Joey, did it touch you? Answer me. No, sir. Okay, it's all right. Let's get you inside. Later that night, Uncle Sean told me he had seen it, too, when he was a kid. It looked like my dad, he said. And you'll see it again. It knows you now. So it could be anywhere. Next time, it might not look like me. It might look like someone else. Whatever you do, you can't let it touch you. It's been 20 years since then, and I've seen it twice more. Once, he was my high school English teacher when I went to ask a question after class. Once, it was my wife in our kitchen in the middle of the night. I've never let it touch me, though it was hard not to with those hypnotic whispers echoing in my brain. I don't know what will happen if it does, and I hope I never find out.